Welcome to the Foxhole. I'm Nandor Fox Shaffer, and for the very first episode of this new series, The Art of Writing Comics, we're going to be taking a look at Rorschach Issue 1 by Tom King, Jorge Fornes, and Dave Stewart. So let's get into it. Let's start out by talking about the cover and presentation for this issue. Now, this is being printed under DC's Black Label imprint, and this imprint is of a higher quality. You've probably seen a lot of the books are the actual magazine kind of oversized format, and this is just a standard comic book size. But the cover stock is thicker, and just the overall interior pages, the quality is of a higher quality too. And I really like how this book feels. It's sturdy. I think for single issues, I kind of wish it was the standard. It is $4.99, so it's a higher price tag, but I really prefer this. And so I really love also with the cover here and the design elements. And what I really want to drive home with the cover and the presentation is looking at this and thinking about how we as indie creators, and if you're the writer and you're the one that's putting your money into the book, and you have the say of how it's going to look and how you want it to look. And I think it's good to have in mind and to have it down how you want the book to feel and look, and using design elements to make your book stand out amongst the rest. And so the cover image here is really cool because you have the color coordination with the colors with the image with the title credits here, and for the creators. And then you have this design kind of rim border that's bordering the title. And you also have the fingerprint, which, this is a more kind of noir mystery thriller, murder mystery. And so it's having all of that just in this cover here. And there's a lot going on. It's really cool. And I think that it's something that we as creators can take advantage of with our own books too. And then flipping the cover, the issue here, we have the back cover, and this is also the same for the front cover, but the image is gloss, but then the rest of the comic is matte. And so we have to think about textures, how we want our book to look. And then also what I love, the last thing about this is the quote here from the issue itself. And I think this is something that we can do as writers too, is something I did with Seasons Volume 1 Spring, is I have a quote from the book on the back of the book. And you see different creators do this, different books do this, but it kind of yells professional or classy to me. I really like the style, and I love seeing that. I love the idea that you can put your words on the comic and kind of have it represent what the issue is, or just, one of your favorite quotes maybe from the issue. And it kind of more of a preference, and maybe you're kind of setting a tone or something like that. But it's something I like seeing, and I enjoy doing it, and I think it's a really neat thing. So opening the issue up here, this is also something that's really cool. Something I did with Seasons Volume 1 Spring is you see these ink blots here, and they get larger and larger with each subsequent issue. So when you go to issue 2, 3, 4, and they're on 5 now, these are getting larger, and it's kind of basically referencing kind of Rorschach and his mask and the ink blots and how they manipulate and change and so forth. But it's like sequential design, which is kind of interesting to think about, because it's coming out on a monthly basis. It's a 12-issue series, but they're using the design to in a way to show progression, and that's really cool. And that's a way to take advantage of the medium, and I love that. I think that's what should be done in comics more often, and it's very kind of using form and kind kind of using a formula, but it's really cool. So going into the first page, we're getting into this. This is in the Watchmen universe, and something that I like so far about this series, just kind of as a footnote, is how Tom King's not really using any of the key Watchmen characters in any of the main cast, and it's more of like atmosphere and setting for the story that he's trying to tell, and I think that's kind of a clever way to do it because you're not potentially ruining any of the characters or anything like that. And I think I'm willing to see what kind of story he's wanting to tell. And so we open up with this first page, and we see this character running. He's dressed as Rorschach, but of course he can't be Rorschach, right? And he's running and he's calling out to someone, and her name's Laura. He's like, Laura, and gunfire is going off. He's getting shot at. We go from panel 1, he's running, getting shot at more, on his knees, headshot. It's a very clean, tight 4 vertical panel layout. And what I love about it, just right off the bat, there's emotion being conveyed in intensity and excitement and tragedy. And he's calling someone by their first name. He's calling out to someone. We don't even know who this person is. We don't even know what's happening just from this first page, and it just conveys this sense of urgency and what's happening to Laura. What's going on here? And then we flip the page, and we see Laura here and him, dead. Blood on this balcony, and they've just been shot and killed. It says, "Clear, we're clear," in the midst of this celebration, this political convention going on, and the contrast and the juxtaposition of their deaths and the celebration is just great. I mean, what great storytelling and imagery that's being shown in just these first 3 pages, and I think it just goes to show you kind of how intentional this book is and intentional of a writer that Tom King is. And I just love what we're seeing so far. Just for the first issue, I'm seeing all of this, and it shows. It's just very good and very well written. And what's being shown and said, I think, is interesting and it's good writing. All right, so we're just going to kind of flip through here. We're introduced to this detective and some dialogue here. He's being tasked with figuring out what that assassination attempt was supposed to be about. Who did it? And Tom King's dialogue is very to the point, tight, very good. And we keep going. He's examining the bodies here. This is something that I really wanted to talk about with this page right here on the left. And something that I'm sure it's more on the part of the artist Jorge Fornes. But we see here how these 3 images are split. So we have this one image here, but it's split between 2 panels, and the same here, and the same goes for here too. And what's really neat about that, I think, is kind of it's kind of a pacing trick, I think, and that's to say that you feel like you're progressing faster than you actually would be by it just being a still image, and it's also a way to kind of I think use the dialogue boxes, the narration boxes, and help the reader along with the page. And it's definitely for composition reasons as well. And what's also cool about this is if you cover up one of the panels, the image is great by itself. But then if you add that, you see how it doesn't need to be split, but it is. And but it's just one image. And so I think that's really interesting. You see there, we're having one action performed, but it's split between two panels, and the other action is in the next panel, vice versa. So I think that's really cool, and something that we as writers and also artists, of course, can think about how they want to compose their page and kind of lead the reader along and make them feel like they're progressing faster than maybe in a subconscious way, I believe. I really like this page just for the Easter egg that it kind of hints and teases that this is connected to the HBO Watchmen show, which I really enjoyed. And I think that it's just a cool little thing. And I like how we see some Dr. Manhattan here. He's probably my favorite character in the Watchmen universe. Again, right here. So we see this also throughout this issue, and something where this is 4 panels, but it's one image. Like, why is it split? And it's due to composition, and I love it. I think it's great, and it's also for pacing, I believe, for the lettering. This could all these bubbles could be on this one image, but it's split up, and I love that. I think that's really cool. This scene right here, I wanted to talk about, and what I like about this scene is this is one of the cops, and we'll see this in the next few pages, who lost his buddies, and he was shot at, and but the detective tells him that he's dying right here in this panel, and then pause, and then he curses. He's like, crap. And see right here, this is one image but split, and for composition, I think that's really neat. But going back to my original train of thought here, for dialogue, when you're when a character is being told something like they're dying, something really serious and major, and as a writer, it's okay, of course, you want to let the art speak, and you don't want to overcomplicate it or ruin the moment. And he's like, that you're dying. Pause, this says it all here. And then we move on, we progress further. Like, let the reader stay in that moment. You don't want to distract them with anything. And I like that. And that's something that I noticed there. So this is a really cool 2-page sequence. I like how they're side to side here, because so they're trying to get to Rorschach. It's a flashback, or the character dresses Rorschach, the person dresses Rorschach, and they're trying to get through this doorway, but they can't get through, and we never see what's on the other side. And it just feels like they're not making any successful moves or any progress at all in trying to get through here. And I just love the composition here, and I love how that's all laid out. And then we turn the page, and they get blown away. And there we go. There's a page turn. That's something we have to be mindful of as writers. Is when do we want to show really crazy, exciting, tragic, moments? We want to leave the reader in, suspension and make them on the edge of their seat. And we flip the page, and all these guys get shot at, and it's from that doorway that they're not able to get through. And then again, as we flip this page here, there he is, and he has the iconic "Herm." And what's really cool too is this little narration dialogue piece here. People thought it was the balloons. Speaking of the gunfire, and it's just one line. It's very subtle, and it's great when you have a splash page like this. Of course, kind of reintroducing, seeing Rorschach, or who we think is Rorschach. With splash pages in general, when it comes to, I think, the way we think about them in the modern day comic book. One line can do it all. One line and one image, they complement each other. And so, of course, sometimes the writing can get in the way, and that's when you, as a writer, have to think about maybe you get the image back from your artist, and you're like, I don't need to say anything, or maybe you're like, this line would work perfect here. So I really like this page. It's great. Now, this is really an interesting kind of rabbit hole, trail into the rabbit hole, dive into the rabbit hole type of sequence happening here with this tape that's being read, and the detective is learning about who this guy is that was dressed up as Rorschach, and we learned that his name was William Myerson. He was a comic book artist. He created this character called Pontius Pirate. And I was looking at this Bleeding Cool article that I'm gonna put in the description below, but this pirate character here, they say he kind of looks like Alan Moore, and also this tape that's being read is actually a real tape. Like, you can actually read a transcript of it, and not many, I think, creators kind of dive deep into comic book creator history. Not just comic book history, but looking at creators and what the stuff they did and what they created, and maybe the niches that they have and the clicks they had with other creators and so forth. But apparently this is some sort of seance, and this is actually a documented thing, and Tom King uses this within the story, and it mentions Otto Binder, and he was a real person, and also Frank Miller is mentioned in this panel here. You can see that, but it's really cool how Tom King is integrating real world comic book creators into this fictional story. And I don't think I've ever really read that or seen that before. It might have been done before, of course, but it was really new to me. And I just here, this is another example. One image split between two panels. I really like the way this is all laid out, the way it's paced. He's driving. We see the tape, see the city. We're kind of getting a little bit of world building and atmosphere and all of that. And I think it's really interesting. It's something to kind of study and look at when you're thinking about different scenes and kind of to keep things going and progressing within your story. And we're progressing even more. We're getting to the end of this issue. They are learning more about this William Myerson and Laura Cummings. One last thing, we're on the final page here, and this is kind of talking, going back to looking at, comic book history, and this character here, William Myerson, really evokes, Steve Ditko vibes. And that's something that's also mentioned in that Bleeding Cool article. But and it even kind of looks like Steve Ditko, Peter Parker, way he draws Peter Parker. And so and of course, the Question was created by Steve Ditko and Mr. A, I believe, and the Rorschach is the Watchmen version of the Question. And so it's interesting how Tom King's tying all of this together in a way, and he's looking at it from a comic book creator's perspective, which is really unique, I think, and something that I don't know that I've really seen before. And it was really interesting and whoa, very meta and all of that. But we end the issue, and I'm really excited to see where he takes this. I want to know more about this character, and so far, we're almost halfway through the series, and I think it's been really good. But then we end it, and we learn that it says he sent me over Kovacs prints to compare with the ones on the body. The two sets matched, and it's like, what are you talking about? Come on, be serious. This is a serious campaign. We don't need this. Check the clock, detective. It's 2020. Rorschach's dead. They're saying that there's this cliffhanger here where, it can't be Walter Kovacs, like the prince, and it leaves on a big cliffhanger. And you're like, well, he can't be alive, can he? And then we end the issue. And I just think that this is a great issue, a great start to, what is definitely a series that a lot of people are looking at and seeing, will it fail? Is it something to invest in and look at? Are they ruining the Watchmen characters and all of that? And so I recommend checking it out. And I do think this is a really good first issue. And there's a lot of little things we can learn about, pacing and design and all of that stuff with this issue. But hope you guys enjoyed this video and looking at Rorschach #1 by Tom King, Jorge Fornes, and Dave Stewart. Please subscribe to this channel and, like this video, comment, tell me what you thought about this issue if you've read it. Are you enjoying the series? Are there any other things that you think was really cool, or that creators can kind of take from this issue or the series so far? I'd love to know what you guys think. Please hit the notification bell as well, so you get notified when a new video of mine pops up. I loved looking at this, and I hope you guys did too. And thank you very much.